Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We will start at 15:30. So please wait for us to prepare everything. Thank you.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, before we start commence the program, and here are the following webinar protocol. For each participant ID, please use your real name following with your origin of institution. All of participants are expected to mute the audio and only unmute the video during the event. We cordially invite you to take your own firm and comfort seat in your own room, and please avoid the backlight. Make sure that you have a good and stable internet connection. If you have an earphone or headset, we recommend you to use it so that your voice can clearly and loudly to be heard. During the Q&A discussion session, all participants, please use the chat box to deliver the questions. Thank you for your cooperation and consideration.
Pura utang usah nih meeting onin narang ini baru bang this is musuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Please make sure that you have mute your speaker. Before we start. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining our event today, Researcher and Research Student Enrichment Program, or we usually call it RSEP. Before we start our agenda today, I will read out the important information to all attendants. First, please fill the attendance form on the provided link, which will be shared in the Zoom chat room by our committee. The link will be closed in 15 minutes. Second, please fill the feedback form, which will be shared in the Zoom chat room 15 minutes before the session ends. And it will be closed after 1 hour. Third, the attendance and feedback are compulsory for these purposes. First, attendance is mandatory for the new ITS, master, and also doctoral student. Certificate of participation is eligible to who has 80% of attendance or seven meetings. It is for STEM for it, which is eligible for ITS undergraduate student. Participants who wish to ask questions during the Q&A session, please send your question at the provided link in the Zoom chat room, or alternatively, you may raise your hand during the Q&A session to ask your question directly. So I think we will start for about 2 minutes from now on. Please mute your speaker, please. Thank you. Now, let's start. Welcome to the Researcher and Research Student Enrichment Program on today, Thursday, 10 March 2022. I'm Dewi from ITS Postgraduate Office, and I will be your ceremony for this session. Before we start the session, please allow me to inform you on our today's agenda as follows. For the first agenda is the opening by the MC, continued by the introduction to the moderator and also the speaker. After that, we will get to the main agenda, the lecture session, then followed by the Q&A session, and it will be ended with the conclusion and closing. I would like to remind you again to fill your attendance form shared through the provided link in the Zoom chat room, which will be closed in 15 minutes from now. I think Ms. Novia has already shared the link. Now, before we moving to the next agenda, please allow me to elaborate today's lecture. Today's lecture theme in RECEP is about finding research idea, which will be delivered by our speaker, Associate Professor Dr. Boon Cheong Chu from University Technical Malaysia, Malacca, or usually we short it by UTM. And Mr. Rifai Wardani, ST, MSc from ITS, who will be the one conducting our session as our moderator today. Next slide, please. Let me introduce you to our moderator today. Our moderator today, Mr. Rifai Wardani, ST, MSc, is graduated from Department of Mechanical Engineering, University of Duisburg-Essen, German, with Master of Engineering and Bachelor of Engineering from Department of Mechanical Engineering, Institut Teknologi Bandung. Currently, he is a lecturer and also researcher from Department of Industrial Mechanical Engineering at the Vocational Faculty, Institut Teknologi 10 November. His research interests are mostly about smart manufacturing, cloud manufacturing, CAD, CAM, CNC, and also model-based definition. Now, without further ado, let's proceed to the main agenda. Mr. Rifai Wardani, MSc, the screen is yours.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Devi. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Thanks for the introduction. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, selamat sore to all researchers and postgraduate students, master degree and doctoral degree. Thank you very much for attending this lecture. I hope everyone is doing well and staying healthy. So today is the second session for our R2 SEP series program. This is the researchers and research students enrichment program in this semester. As we know, a couple of weeks ago, we have already joined the first sessions, and today is the second session with title Finding Research Idea. My name is Rifai Wardani from Department of Industrial Mechanical Engineering, ITS, and I'm moderator for this lecture. In these sessions, our speaker is Dr. Boon Chang Chiu from University Technical Malaysia Malacca. He's going to deliver presentations about finding research idea. About this, I'm pretty sure anyone coming to these sessions, researchers and postgraduate students, actually we have the same problem when we are entering the early stage of research. Many questions are coming to our heads, such as what is our research main topics? What is the research directions? What is the research gap? How to find the genuine idea? So it's like we are in the jungle of research topic. But please keep your question first. You can give them later. Before we start, let me preview our speaker's profile. Associate Professor Dr. Boon Chang Chiu from University Technical Malaysia Malacca. His additional backgrounds are PhD in Science and Technology Studies, the University of Edinburgh, UK, and Master in Technology Management and Bachelor of Civil Engineering from University Technology Malaysia. And his academic and professional experience as Associate Professor in Department of Technology Management, Faculty of Technology Management and Technopreneurship, University Technical Malaysia Malacca, UTM. And he's the Deputy Director in the UTM International Center, also as additional board of Journal of Marketing and Information System, International Review of Economic and Management and Human Capital Development. And his research interests are technology management, renewable energy development and deployment, clean technology innovations and introductions, sustainability practices, and blue technology innovations and management. So please welcome Dr. Boon Chang Chiu. You may start your presentations like 45 to 60 minutes. Then we will have question and answer sessions after that.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
So thank you,
Time is
Mr.
yours,
Ivan. Thank you for introduction. And I put a smile on my face because you have posted a very challenging question just now. I mean, I need to get myself ready. So I'm looking.
I think we lost him. Is it? I think we need to wait for Prof. Chiu to come back.
Connection is trouble.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we lost.
Yeah, we lost him. I think we need to wait for it. So please be patient. I'll try to contact him by WhatsApp. Thank you.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I think there's a lag just now.
Yeah, I think so.
It's okay. So thank you, Mr. Rivai, for the introduction.
I think we lost him again.
Hello there. So just now got the lag, yeah, Miss Devi. Hopefully everything is good right now. Thank you very much, Miss Devi, for helping facilitate, communicate with me for a few days. And finally, you're here. And thank you, Mr. Revi, for the introduction just now. And you have posted some of the very difficult question. I hope that not going to be asked. But I'll try to do. So I have 257 students for today. Wow, that is very huge numbers. Yeah. So I wish you all well. I wish you all happy to have this session with me because fundamentally I'm trying to provide, some of the guidelines as well as the tips. It's not prescriptive, but definitely it's going to be helpful. I hope so. In order for you to guide through your research idea generation. Now, for me to kickstart, I think would like to know some of you. Can you utilize the button of reaction over there to give me good or things? So I would like to know how many of you are actually on your S1 for your undergraduate, if you can like, so I can roughly understand the profiles of all of you. S1, any? Yes. Okay, what about S2 if you are on your master's studies right now? Can you give me a like so that I know, yeah, roughly how many? Okay, good. S2, fantastic. So can I have S3? S3? How many of you are pursuing your doctorate right now? Okay, welcome, future doctors all. So I hope that this is going to be a fruitful discussion as well as a fruitful sharing. Thank you for the feedback. So I'm going to share with my share screen, okay, because my materials is not in a PowerPoint form. My materials for today is I'm going to share with you is in a text form because I believe, some of it we just report these PowerPoints, but we also can have some text in order to help us. And after that, we are able to get through, the understanding. So if you may always Google, okay? I can share with you how you're going to come in and get some materials. When you get into the Google page, for example, and then you are able to come to the string where you can come into my page called BCQ Academia EDU over here, okay? So when you are able to reach this Academia EDU, then you are able to click into the materials that I have, the material which is going to lead you through the information that we're going to have our discussion for today. Okay, so you just get into BCQ Academia, I repeat. Then after that, you come to the chapters of edited books. Okay, you click over here. Then after that, you arrive at what you call as a documents, which I have written, and then I freely share over here. It's called formulating and clarifying the research topic. Okay, so everyone, are you ready? Yes, then let's start. So I understand from the questions given by Mr. Revi that you are coming from your S2 and S3, and I believe there are also students which is out from ITS. So when we are coming to the research, the very fundamental things that we need to get is how are we going to get our idea, right? So that's why this topic is about formulating. I'm utilizing the formulating and clarifying the research topic. And over here, there are some of the methods as well as techniques for you so that you are able to grasp and understand how are you going to generate the research idea. Okay, so I'm going to introduce to you, I'm not saying that this is prescriptive, but just a suggestions for you to look at how are you going to come up with a better idea. Okay, so first that we call it as a subject to topic analysis. Now this is interesting, is because this is the one that you would consider by doing your studies, by looking at those subjects that you are really good at and those subjects that you are really, really like. So the message behind here is you would have the subject which is your favorite subject, the subject you are really good at. Well, it makes sense, am I right? Because it is impossible if you are doing those subjects that you do not like and you want to carry to your master's or PhD. So it's definitely something that you really like it, something that you're fascinated about it, and you would like to carry on doing it into your master's as well as your PhD. So that's why we come to the suggestions of the first idea generation can come from the subject to the topic analysis. So this is the one that gives you the basic of understanding. Okay, for the search of the research idea. So first, you should refer to the subject that taken in your program previously. For example, previously you are from bachelor degree, and right now you want to pursue your master's, and you're looking at those subjects that have been offered. Okay, or even you're in a PhD, you can even look back at your master's as well as your undergraduate program and see whether you have any subjects that you really like. And from there, then you analyze from the subject to the topic analysis. Now, this is one that, as I said, truly good or very interested, because from what we understand, if you have a good research topic, good research idea that you really like, it drives you for the motivation. Because remember, particularly for these PhD programs, you need to pursue for 3 years or might be 4 years. So the time itself is going to be a very big, in terms of your chart for you to pursue. Some of you might be in 3 years or 4 years. You might have set up your family, maybe you've got your kids, or any changes that will happen in your personal life. So in such a case, I always advise my students, when you come over to me, I would like you to suggest to me those that you're really good at and those that you really like. So this is the one that, as I mentioned here, truly good and very interested. So sometimes you also need to understand there are also some of the subjects which supports the core program. So from there, after you know one subject that you really like, then you can downsize to look at the topics that you would like to pursue in your studies. So maybe I give you one example just now when I found through this Amazon. I can share with you about this book, for example. That's why I'm doing quite a live session. It's not just only about clicking the PowerPoints and things, so that I can show you how I did it, so that you're able to get from here. So sometimes some of you, might be I give some of the simplest one, might be we can say is a manufacturing management, for example, right? So might be you have this as your subject, okay? So you are able to learn it and you really like it, okay? So you are able to get through, you would like to pursue this as your master's and your PhD topic. So the one that you can do is you look inside. I always encourage my students to look inside, and particularly if you can get some of the book which is very current or updated, then you're able to get more latest information from there. So for example, if we get into this book, right? So after that, we would like to look at the situation about the topics that we have, okay? So maybe we are, I would like to stop my video so that I can facilitate a smoother transition, okay? So when you're looking at these, then there are a few topics over here that you can start to think whether it is suitable for you. For example, you might want to look at the global context of the manufacturing paradigms. Do you want to look from the angle of product inventory strategy might be? Or you might want to look at customizations, personalized and reconfigurable products in your manufacturing studies. Do you want to look at mass production or lean manufacturing? Do you want to do analysis on it? Or you might thinking, sometimes there also appears the traditional manufacturing systems. Sometimes it's not always, it has to be mass products and massively produced. Sometimes you might need to get back to the traditional values of these manufacturing systems. Then after that, you have the economics of the system design, reconfigurable machines, manufacturing systems, system configuration analysis, or might be some of you are thinking about the business model. Okay, you can even relate with the ICT, IT-based enterprise in organizational structure. And finally, you also can look at the one that we call an enterprise globalization strategy, 21st century global manufacturing enterprise, etc. and etc. So from here, what you have seen is these actually considered as one of the subjects, but all of these can be considered as the potential topics for you to think through. And remember, the ground is you have to really like the subject, you're really fascinated about it, and that's the reason why you want to carry it. Okay, so I always encourage my students to do so because it hits two birds in one stone. First, you are able to conduct the literature review out from there. And secondly, because of the latest information that you found from the publication, and you are able to stick yourself on the frontier of the knowledge. So for example, we are no more talking about, you know, all those old terms, right? We are looking forwards to, for example, mass, lean, or maybe you're looking at ICT, reconfigurable, and all of these going to put yourself into the novelty, particularly for the PhD students, the novelty that you need to have. Okay, so you can consider this first option. Then after that, maybe if you need more guidance, you can come and tell me, right? So second one is we call as scanning the media. Some of you might start to think, yes, I have the idea, but I would like to know something that happens outside somewhere. You know, sometimes it is interesting for us to look at what are the things outside another parts of the world, or might be something that happens in our countries, in Indonesia or in Malaysia. So this scanning the media can be one of the research idea generation technique. Because incidents occurs every day. You look at the newspaper, you switch on the news, you have all types of incidents that happen, right? So these are disseminated via newspaper, radio, television, and internet. I think, you know, all of you would agree that the COVID topics right now has become somehow a turning point for all of us. Do you agree with me? Since COVID has become a pandemic, and it's changed the way that we live, it changed the way that we work. So it's also become one of the ideas that helping us in terms of the research idea generation. So this process will definitely generate new idea. That's the reason why sometimes you're searching information, you know, via the media. You can familiarize yourself with the current trend, the latest development, associate with the topic of interest. Now, let's Google. You know, I always love to utilize Google to explain so that you can have a look. Right, might be we are looking at the Ukraine and Russia's conflict, okay? Particularly you all from industrial, might be you would like to look at supply chain, for example, okay? Yes, everything's are available. You can always try, then after that, see what are the things that comes out after you hit the buttons. So you can see, so it adds the European supply chains problem, okay? And obviously, this also impact on the United States health supply chain. What about supply chain in Indonesia? Let's try. I have not tried before, but we can have a look, you know. Its impact on the ASEAN, per se, right? So for this, that it gives you some of the information after you're scanning through the media, because this is just 2 days ago, you know, so it gives you a very new information for you to understand. Then perhaps from there, it can be one of the studies that you want to look at how the war or instability in terms of politics will influence the supply chain in Indonesia or in Asia per se. So you can keep Googling, you can keep finding out and reading all of these. From there, you are building up your understanding and it can become your fantastic research idea. Okay, so far so good. Now, the third one is we're utilizing a relevance tree. So this relevance tree actually is the format that you are trying to expanding your idea. Let me show you how does it look like. So we call it as the relevance tree. So when we have one research idea, for example, okay, then we're going to expand it from one to another. So this is the way that we'll start to looking at on what scope that we would like to look at, and what we would not want to go for. So for example, we are looking at the impact of technology innovation on community based on energy market. I'm taking this as one of the examples. So you're looking at what angle, usually people will ask you, because you can't look everything in doing your research. You have to be setting it, frame it in a way that it is executable. And obviously it has to also fulfill the requirement of your institution. So are you looking at energy technology innovation per se, or you're looking at community energy-based market, or you're looking at agent-based modeling? Which one you want to look for? And from here, you keep expanding it. Then from here, you can start to realize and also make up your mind. Do I want to look at energy technology innovation by looking at, for example, the distribution innovations? Or maybe I want to look at the technology transitions? Or because this is too huge, I might want to look at only perhaps the community-based energy market. How does the community respond in terms of the energy fluctuation, as well as the energy prices fluctuation, as well as the supply, when something happens to the world scale? Because we are now sharing the similar economy, it's very difficult to say that what happens outside under the Ukraine and Russia will not impact us, even though it's far away, but definitely it's going to have certain impacts on the economy as well as the social dimension. That's why you can think about it, and maybe you want to study this. Or if you're thinking that you want to go for modeling process, so you might want to utilize scenario, you want to use innovation diffusion, you want to use what theory of plane behaviors in order to look at the impact. Is all upon your choice. Most of us, when we receive this type of topic, most of us, we did not analyze it properly. And relevance trees basically helps you to go down to very detailed so that by the end of the day, what are the things that you need to be complete as your context. Ya, kamu punya kawasan context. Sebab you cannot have something that not complete, and you cannot also make it too huge. So that's why relevance trees can become a very good guidance for you to know manakah sempadan saya, where am I going to study? Ini cukup ke tidak? So you refer to your supervisor, have a discussion. Maybe he would agree with it, or maybe he say, okay, we can have a 2, or maybe 2 or 3, or 2 and the third. We are now going for all the first and the third. It's all the combination that will help you to set up your context ataupun sempadan for you to have your idea. How huge, how deep, how much is all the questions about the context that you need to have. Okay, so that's why this relevance trees is going to be useful for you. Next, I would like to say as a brainstorming. Sometimes when you're with your colleagues, with your friends, with your family members, particularly like myself, I always love to chat with my colleagues as well as my students, my friends. So we do not spend time talking much, what I call what happens to the film star, we don't do that. Instead, we utilize that time, over the lunch to tell him or tell her, look, I have an idea. For example, Mr. Rivai, I have an idea. I'd like to look at how this Ukraine-Russia conflict has causing supply chain disruption on Indonesia, particularly. Because right now we found out that this has become a mega scale. Europeans are very afraid of it. So what do you think? So we do all this brainstorming. We discuss among each other. There's no right or wrong about the information. We should appreciate people giving you idea, even though some of the idea might not same as what you expected. Maybe I have the colleagues who told me, like Miss Devi told me, no, you should not do this because you found out that this is just only a short term. After this, there's no more. Then everyone will get back to the normal. So your PhD might not have much value after all. Yes, a very good inputs from Miss Devi to me. I have to appreciate it. It's all the sincere information that counts so that you're aware about what are the things that are going to carry on and what are the things that you need to take note so that you will not get yourself into the trap or hindrance later on. Okay, so utilizing brainstorming, talking to everyone that you have opportunity, as long as you're happy to talk to them, you found out that they're helpful, even to your parents, to your dad, to your son, to your kids, anyone, just ask them what do they think, because you will find out that sometimes, interestingly, from every people perspective will give you different types of information which are valuable. So you are not just one-sided, kamu tidak hanya bergantung kepada informasi semata-mata, kamu juga mendapatkan ilmu dan perbincangan. Menerusi bicara daripada mereka-mereka, you're able to get back the fundamental information. How do you think? What do you think? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? All of this can become very, very interesting and helpful. Okay. So the fifth one, looking at past research project, also can be one of the way for you to generate your research idea. So most of us, when we train to do research, during the chapter 5, I'm not sure whether have you come across with some of the theses, right? So some of the theses in chapter 5, they will usually put the parts that we call recommendation for future studies. Okay, chapter 5, thesis, recommendation for future studies. So that is also one of the sources that you can get it by looking at it and see what are the things that come up from there, So that is the way that you're also able to hook on what has been done by the previous researcher. And after that, you're able to generate further studies from there. So that's why some of the thesis has been structured in this way. So the good thing is you go back to your library, you find a topic if you have, then after that, you look at what are the recommendations from the researcher that capable for them to carry their research and previously, and right now, you can start to conduct the research based on what has been shared here. Okay, and that is also one of the way that makes your research science better as well as more fruitful. Because whatever being done before, right now, you can continue from there. Okay, does it make sense? So that is a part. So this study contributed to the understanding. This is the one that currently. So what is the future recommendation? Okay, might be in the future, recommend to conduct similar study, but other institution. Oh, I've studied this research in ITS. Maybe you want to come in UTM and study with us, take our data from you. Yes, you can come in, And of course, also suggestion also say, you could have tutor to come in, instead of just lecturer, you can have tutor to come in and play more significant role. And obviously, you also can see that they are looking at the longitudinal studies, taking out some of the records from the universities that they can be helpful. And finally, maybe previously he's doing programming or survey. So right now you can use online face-to-face interaction, so that you're able to get more information from them. So look these parts, it should be appear in your chapter 5 in the thesis that kept in your library. Then you can see what are the things that you can proceed from there. Okay, so I hope that these will be helpful. Okay, next one is you search for the literature. Number 6 will be more suitable for PhD students. Okay, the fundamental reason is because you have to contribute to the knowledge. That's why the literature has to be started. So when I'm supervising my students, I always ask them to start with the literature. After we got our idea, we have to test on the literature to see what are the things that have been done before. Because literature gives you a clear idea of the area or topic which you want to pursue. And this also making sure that the discussion types of literature can generate the research idea. Okay, and all of these always appear in academic journals, books. Be careful right now because there's so many predatory journals out there. I'm not sure whether you know predatory journals. It means that those journals which are very low quality, you're just sitting there by searching through online, you might get yourself in problem. So how do we avoid all of these in order to make sure that we get a good quality journals? One of the right way is you go back to the library and you look at those journals that subscribe by your library. Your library pays a lot of monies for this journal subscription, Like in Malaysia, it can up to a few hundred thousands. That's why those journals should be the one that you utilize for your own studies, you know, not just sitting in front of the computer, then you just search whatever that you have, because you do not know whether the journal is good or bad quality. So we should assume that if you have a good quality academic journals, then it would help you to have a content of a state of the knowledge in particularly topic area. You know, you're finding the latest journal, then you have the latest information, latest knowledge. Like I show you the book just now, if the book is year 2020, 2021, you are actually in the frontier of the knowledge. So you are at the state of the knowledge, you are in front, you are not too behind, you can carry on your studies from there. Okay, so that is the way that you are searching for the literature. And for PhD, you have to also understand that you need to have the theoretical contribution. Means that any new knowledge, any new theory that can be generated from you, that's a reason why searching for literature is one of the very good way recommended for PhD students. Okay. And then obviously you have to talk to others. So apart from the brainstorming, you can talk to anyone and then get some idea, insights. Once you get everything, then you talk to your supervisors. You know, sometimes you can ask your supervisors, okay, that right now you have a trouble about getting your idea. You know, instead, you know, you ask your supervisor, hey, give me what you think, you know, why don't you suggest? Sometimes you can suggest to your supervisors. If your supervisors, you know, I assume that you not only have one, you might have two, you know, one main supervisor, one co-supervisors. So both of them, you can carry on the discussion. You know, bring your idea, bring your knowledge, and then after that, share with them to help you. You must help your supervisor so that your supervisor can help you. You know, there's no more spoon feed. You know, you just can't just knock at that door and then see them. Yeah, professor, I have no idea. What can I do? Huh? When you put this question, your supervisor's first reaction would be, yes, please go back and read more, then come back to me. So you are getting yourself in a circle, like a roundabout, yeah, that you cannot get out from there. So a proactive supervisor will prepare themselves very well. Then after that, will bring the idea. Yes, professor, I would like to do this and that. Can I do this and that? Then after that, you will find out that the supervisor will keep helping you to refine the idea, clear out your doubt, and after that, making sure that you're happy to carry on the topics that you have proposed. Win-win situation. Okay, so you got the expertise, you talk to them, you ask for the better insight about the topic. Okay, so far I have recommended to you mostly 7 types or 7 techniques that you can always think about getting the research idea. So I just do a quick conclusion. You can do subject to topic analysis. Remember, looking back at the programs, the subject, and then select the topic that you like the most. You can't go for something that you dislike. For your information, you'll be being forced to do something that you really don't like. You will have yourself in trouble because you will lack of motivation, you feel stressful, and everything will start from there. The damage will start from there. Scanning the media, getting the latest trend, latest information. Then after that, you can start to looking at how are you going to put this information and idea into your studies. So this also can become one of the way that you are able to look at, and after that, get the fresh information. Utilizing relevance trees means that you're analyzing your topic, get down to the latest, the smallest branches that you're able to achieve. Ya, sehingga kepada yang paling halus sekali. Maka with that, kamu sudah ada satu konteks. You have generated a context as well as the area for your studies. Then you would know whether it is enough for the masters or enough for the PhD. Using brainstorming, talking to anyone, never reject, you know, never criticize. If let's say like somebody told me that my idea is no good, don't feel offensive. You know, jangan rasa, oh kamu ni ya teman saya tapi kamu kritik aku punya topik, tak mau kawan dengan kamu lagi. Oh, though you lost a friend. No, you should open heart because academic opinion could be criticized. You know, everything academic opinion, academic work, you can be criticized. So you have to open heart so that you can improve. Okay. And looking at past research project, as I mentioned in chapter 5, looking for the recommendation and everything, then you can actually follow up and hook on, you know, with those that they have done before, so that you can replicate, you can add value, you can do more things from the previous research that have been done. I believe it's, let's say, like many of you from various disciplines, that you found out that they're talking a lot about COVID. So you can look at the recommendation, you know, maybe they are talking about, yes, after COVID, what will happen? Or maybe manufacturing after COVID, what will be happen? So all of these can become a fresh idea for you. And searching for literature is one of the good recommendation for the PhD students, because you can learn the theory, you can find the literature gap, and after that you can conduct your study to fill up or even to answer the research problem that has been found. And last one, talking to the supervisors, to the expert. Remember, don't get into them without preparation. You know, always prepare yourself. Get yourself the opinion, the knowledge, you know, something that interested. Then after that, go and verify with them. What we're afraid as a supervisor is when you knock at our door, you know, you tell us after we ask you to do very long time. For example, you register, you're done for 1 year. Then you still knock at our door. You say, sir, professor, I do not have any idea yet. It makes your supervisor panic, basically. Okay. So with the 7 ways, then you can find out that these are the way for you to generate your idea. Next, we move into evaluating the idea. Now, after you got the idea, you have to also understand sometimes your idea might be too small or too huge. Terlalu besar ataupun terlalu kecil. When it is too small, it could not be conducted by research. You know, some of my undergraduate students, when they proposed to me some of the title, I found out that they cannot be done with the research, because the study do not even need to have research. You know, for example, they say, okay, they come up with the title. They say, making sure the road is in a good condition. Ya, contohnya seperti ini. So they say, okay, I want to study about the road condition with a very good road condition so that we can reduce the accident cases. Ya, dengan ada jalan raya yang berkondisi baik, maka kita boleh mengurangkan accident. Adakah ini perlu kita buat research? Tak perlu. Because definitely a good road condition will reduce, definitely will reduce. Of course, not only these as well factors, it has more to come. But if let's say like you try to hypothesize in this way, jalan raya yang bagus akan mengurangkan accident, this does not even need to go for the research. Do you get my meaning? Because this is surely be affirmative. People knows about it. So sometimes you have a very small research idea which you are not aware. Maklumlah, kamu semua masih belajar. I also last time in your position as well. Saya juga duduk seperti Anda semua, dengar juga perkongsian daripada profesor-profesor sebelum ini. That's why right now today I'm here that I share with you. Kita panggil sebagai satu sharing, concern sharing, caring is sharing. Sebab itu hari ini saya sudah lepasi, maka dengan pengalaman yang ada, I share with you. Yeah? So you know about this, then you do not need to conduct a research anymore. Or maybe you are thinking, oh, I want to do something so fantastic. You know, I want to repair the climate so that the climate can sustain. You know, I do everything to repair the climate. So you are overly designed. Something that too huge, terlalu banyak. How on what aspect you need to do to repair the climate? The first question you have to do. Oh, I want to repair by more forestry. I want to repair because we want to cut the energy usage. I want to reduce the car on the road. I want to do recycling. I want to do blah, 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 blah. You have too much for you to take. Then your research is overly designed. Fundamentally, it becomes very, very huge topic for you, and you do not have so much time actually. I'm not sure whether you agree with me. Your PhD teachers for 3-4 years, you can't make it too long. So so that you need to make sure it is focused. And with the focus that you have, you can become the expert of the field. You can't do everything. Repair the climate, oh my goodness, this is very huge. So with that, then you talk to your supervisors, you know, you talk to the people. They can start to help you by making sure that your topic is just nice. It's just nice to be set as the one that you can perform your research. So that's the reason why we need to make sure that we are evaluating it. Now, evaluating it, it can be coming from undergraduate S1 or master S2 or even S3 PhD. Obviously, each of the level of your studies, undergraduate, master or PhD, have different types of difficulty, have different types of depthness and also widthness. Betul? Ada kesukarannya yang berbeza, ada kedalamannya yang berbeza, ada keluasannya yang berbeza. So in such a case, you have to also remember, you cannot just keep on using what you have learned during your undergraduate and then you think that it is similar like masters. Or the worst that I found, some of my students, they learn from me via masters, they have experience with me, and they think that they can continue the PhD by doing their work without asking me or gain a supervision from me. You know, mereka dah belajar S2 daripada saya, maka mereka teruskan kepada S3 tanpa mau menunjuk kepada saya. Sebenarnya berbeza sebab S2 dan S3 berbeza kualitasnya, betul? Skopnya, kesukaannya, compliance-nya, semua berbeza. So if you're thinking that, oh, I've done this, I definitely can do this. No, think again. Okay, so there are two situations for you to evaluate whether the research idea or research topic is good. Okay, first one is after you have the idea, then you start formulating the topics, right? So we're looking at the context of topics. So is it a topic something you are truly fascinated? You ask yourself your capability. Ini dalaman, penilaian secara dalaman. Are you happy with it? Do you really like it? You know, people who are being forced to do something that he do not like or he or she doesn't like will definitely have a lot of challenges. Okay, does one have or can develop within the time? How many years for your S2? How many years for your S3? You have to take into consideration, you know, because you have the time limit to complete your studies. You cannot just keep working there then until no ends. Sebab itu kamu ada time frame-nya. So do you have any skills? Yeah, do you really good at programming? Do you really good at survey, quantitative? Do you really good at face-to-face interview? Some students who are very shy, you know, they feel very uncomfortable, tidak selesa to go for interview. Then we put him into interview, he will cry. Yes. Or some people who say, I do not know about programming. You ask me to do programming, oh my God, I do not have time to learn so much. Can you help me? Yes, because the skills are totally different. Next, is it the topic can be completed or achievable within available time? 3 years, 4 years, you have to tell yourself, is the topic still be current? Particularly those, you know, that have pursued masters or PhD. Undergraduates, most of them, they are following the suggestions from the supervisor so that they can complete on time. And basically, they do not even have a year. They mostly have 2 semesters to complete their final year project. But for masters, you have to think, what do you want to do with the topic after you graduated? PhD, what do you want to do after you graduated as a doctor? Do you want to get into academia? Do you want to go to the companies, or do you want to go to industry? Or do you might be thinking want to go to serve the government? So if yes, is it still current? Masih lagi baru ke tidak? Kalau ambil topik yang puluh-puluhan dahulu-dahulu, macam kita belajar sejarah, maka you might find out that the contribution becomes limited. If people already talking about blockchain, people are talking about 5G. Your topic is, I want to study the impact of 1G. 1G? I want to study 2G. Kenapa 1G, 2G?
people to go for 5G already. I mau study 3G. 3G dah mau tutup dah. Oh, I want to study 3G. Oh, what about 5G? So, adakah dia masih current? Fikirkan. Think about it. Next, is the topic available with the financial resources? Now, remember, some of you might be sponsored students. Some of you might be got your scholarship from other parts of the world that you come and study in ITS or come and study in where else that you have. Financial resources is the one a very realistic situation. You know, if you're in Surabaya, then you need to travel all the time to go back to Kalimantan to collect the data. How many times that you can go and collect the data? You ask yourself. Oh, saya study dekat Indonesia, Surabaya, ITS. Tapi saya mau pergi ke Tokyo untuk collect data. How many times that you can go to Tokyo and collect data? You ask yourself. All of this is a financial resources that might start become challenging if you mismanage it. Okay, so undergraduate also the same. You do not have sponsor. You know, sometimes you have to base on yourself. You need to make sure that every single rupiah that you have to spend, you know, you have to make sure that it is worthily counted. Yeah, so sometimes be realistic. Yeah, sebab financial resources ini sangat penting sebenarnya. It's very important. Okay, the reasonable certain being able to gain data. Can you get the data? So when I supervise my students, the first question I always ask them is, can you get the data first? Because if imagine that by the end of the day, your data you cannot access, then you need to rewrite everything. Chapter 1, 2, 3, you need to rewrite. So don't assume that you can get the confirmation first. Yes, I can get the data, then we proceed. You know, some of the students, they are very visionable. You know, for example, dia mau pergi buat interview dengan Presiden Jokowi, for example. Ya, ataupun you want to come and interview, you know, very, very famous people, you know, Tony Fernandez untuk Air Asia. Ya, sebab kamu suka Air Asia. The fundamental question is, can you reach them? If you say that, oh, I will cuba, I will write emails, and after that, wait for the reply, oh, you are risking yourself, you know. Sometimes they don't even read our emails. So you have to make sure that you're able to access the data as a primary consideration. Next is about the external evaluation. What would happen outside? So do you fit the specification of the examining institution? Pernah ke tidak kamu semua pergi membaca the criteria ataupun kualitas-kualitas yang ditentukan oleh institusi? How many of you actually reading it? You have to read. You don't wait your supervisor to tell you. If you do not read, you do not understand why your supervisor asks you to do that. Right? Correct? So I ask you, I plead you, I urge you to go and read handbooks. Apakah take one day to read. Don't just escape it, because once you know the rules and regulations, then you would know how are you going to do your work. Because doing research, you know, many times is a trial and error process. Kamu cuba, kamu jaya, ataupun kamu cuba, kamu gagal. There are always a lot of possibilities. So that's why if you never prepare yourself, how are you going to pursue? It's just like you do not have a direction. You sit in a car and then you just want to go in front. What does it mean by go front? Then you can go front, you can knock the tree, you can knock the wall. And after that, you tell me, oh, because I never read the manual, I never know the direction. Of course, you have to know the direction. And the handbook is the one that you need to read. I believe that you have the handbooks with you. But how many of you actually reading it? Can you give me a hand raise? Angkat tangan. Berapa ramaikah yang pergi baca the handbooks, fahamkan the regulations, fahamkan dia punya setting? Ada? How many of you? I'm not sure whether 2 participants raised hand. Yeah. So the rest, 284, what happens to you? You have to read first. You know, that is for you. The university is not written the handbook for the universities. Tujuannya handbook ini adalah untuk pemahaman Anda semua, for you to understand. How do you conduct the proposal? How do you do the proposal defense? How do you write the thesis? What are the font size? What are the requirements? How to submit? What are the expectations? What is your responsibility? Apakah tanggungjawab supervisor? Semua ada. Tapi yang peliknya, kamu ada masa dekat YouTube tengok itu sarang-he. Kamu tidak ada masa untuk baca ini. Ini yang perlu Anda ingat selalu. Ya. So after this talk, 286 of you, please go and have a look of the handbook itself. Okay? Kalau kamu tidak mahu lihat, kamu tidak mau baca, kamu tidak akan faham the process. You would not know the process. Why some of your supervisors ask you to be quick. Some supervisors ask you to reread. Some supervisors ask you to check correctly, get confirmation, because everything has been written in the handbook for you to understand. Okay, so the next, does the topic has something to relate with the theory? Remember, you're not doing the research without a theory. Your research are academically oriented. If I may say, you know, in many of the R2 set I have already highlighted, I'm actually, you know, keep participating in R2 set for many times. So I would like to say to you, if you have to remember is your research is academic based. You have to base on your academic theory. You cannot just simply come into a research without theory. Apa yang maksudnya tidak ada teori? Contohnya, okay, dalam election, okay, contohnya election United States, how many people suka Presiden A, how many people suka Presiden B. Itu saja. That type is not academic research. Okay? So remember, you have to have the theory. So is it you able to answer the research question and objective? This is also have to be clear. You know, you have to understand. It is not just about understanding. You should not formulate your research objective is to understand. No, it's no more to understand. You have to examine. You have to investigate. You have to affirm. You have to evaluate. Kalau sekadar to understand in a taxonomy boom, it is still the first level. Yeah, to understand sahaja. So, is it that the proposed the research will be able to provide fresh insight in this topic? Are you able to give something new, something interesting? You know, we do not need to conduct a research to tell ourselves that the globe is actually in a sphera. Bumi itu adalah bulat. Tak perlu. We do not need to do that. You know, we do not need to say that, oh, I want to study, okay, why the moon not jatuh, yeah, why the moon is on the sky, sebab ada gravity. Tak perlu. Kamu tidak perlu kata itu matahari, bintang, bulan ada di langit, dia tidak jatuh kepada bumi sebab ada gravity. Tak perlu. You do not need to do that. You need to give a fresh insight, something new, something that makes yourself become the frontier of the knowledge. So does the topic clearly to the organization be under the research? If you are doing your research with the organization, would it be helpful? Okay, would you able to make sure that the company happy to accept you? And last one, does it helps you with your career goal? Lepas kita selesai belajar di university, we will go out and study. After study, we go out and work, right? Is it achieve your career goal? Macam manakah topik-topik saya ini dapat berguna untuk career saya pada masa hadapan? You have to think about it. Yeah. So there are lots of considerations for you to think of. Even undergraduate students, you know, I advise them, you know, because you want to study, then after that you leave your job. If you are thinking that you love to work at that company, you can try to work to get the research in that company. Kenapa tidak? Because when you do your research, you know the person in the company. Then after that, after you finish, you're able to join the company. You can try because you already know the person, you have the rapport already. Okay? So after this, then you know that we already know how we generate the idea. And after that, we have to know how are we going to evaluate the idea so that the idea are able to tick the boxes. Ya, memenuhi kepada kriteria-kriteria yang ada. So the last one yang saya perlukan memberikan makluman to all of you is you also can refine. Refine means that kita memperhalusi, and dan juga menilai research idea kita. So you see the process is first one, you are doing on understanding about the method for idea generation. Second one is you do evaluation. And last one is you have the refinement and also the final evaluation. So maybe you can do Delphi method. This is the one that you're asking your group. If you have a supervisor where have a few students together, then you can form a group together, okay? And after that, you utilize Delphi method in order to refine the research idea. So one thing that we have over here, I summarize, is you ask the people to write, and after that, they have to give to you back. But you do not criticize the information. So you make this process, okay, you form the group, and after that, you tell them about your research idea, you ask them to give you input. So after that, when they give the input, so after that, they collect the information, and after that, every member have to comment. Come on, we have to be helpful and contributive, yeah? So that people are able to learn from one and another. Then after that, you complete the cycle. After that, you are able to help one and another. So this process is attributes to have a good research topic, and it usually works well when people enjoy helping one and another. Okay, so you can do that. Next, you can also conduct a SWOT analysis. So those that from management study, I think you learned this before. From those that might be not yet, you can think about SWOT. It means that strength, weaknesses, opportunity, and also threats. How are you going to evaluate yourself? Okay, apakah kekuatan, apakah kelemahan, what are the opportunity yang ada lepas you complete the research, and what are the threats if you not overcoming. For example, the strength, okay, so you have the interested, you really like it, you know, you have a good experience, you're confident about it, that is a strength. The weaknesses, okay, if you found out that you cannot get the data from the organization, or the data cannot be useful, already outdated, then this becomes weaknesses for you. You have to overcome it. Opportunity, okay, might be after you study this, yeah. For example, you have studied your company in Telco Indonesia, or you might be studying your work in Garuda, or you might study your work in Indomie companies, you know. So after you got the information from there, you are able to advance your career. You can think about joining the company, joining the ministry, joining the university after you have completed what you have done so far. So this is also the opportunity. Okay, threats. Is it your studies going to invade people's privacy? Is it your studies is going to take so much that going to threaten national security? Is it your studies will making people feel uncomfortable? These all will become the threats. Yeah, I believe if let's say like today, we want to collect the data. Yeah, for those who got COVID before, yeah, sudah sembuh daripada COVID. So kita mau buat survey. I don't think many people will agree to do that survey as well. Sebab not many people want to tell you about the painful, why he got COVID, why he got any, why he got COVID and what happens to the implications out from there. Not many people would like to share because it's a privacy information. So that's why if let's say like you need to have access these types of very sensitive information, either from people level or people from company level, you are checking people. Hey, how much is your cost? How much is your price? How much is your overhead? How much is your on? Then you're asking too much sensitive information. People might not want to review to you. So it becomes a threat for you. So in such a way, you conduct a SWOT analysis, then you can get yourself understand better in terms of the requirement. And obviously, check with the institution requirement. Is it how many words that you need to write for masters? How many words you need to write for PhD? Do you know that? Okay, ask yourself. And then what is the page limit? What are the things that I need to have in my chapters? Yes, go and read first. Tanpa membaca, you never know. Next, thinking about the future, as I mentioned. Because after you complete your studies, you will come out, then you definitely need to work. So that time you're thinking about your future, what you want to do with the expertise that you have. You spend 1 year, 2 years for your masters, You spend 2 years, 3 years, 4 years for your PhD. What do you want to do about your future? You know, so this is the one also you need to consider clearly before you move in. Okay, so with that, then I have to say to you is, with this, I hope that I have provided with you the 3 sections. Yeah, so the first one is about the technique or the ways to generate the research idea. The second part is you evaluate it. You ask yourself, is it okay? You fit enough to do it? You have enough money, enough time, enough commitment, yeah? And after that, are you able to do this on the external evaluation? How far do you think you comply with the requirement? Okay. And finally, to refine, memperhalusi, making it solid. You go through the Delphi technique, you go for the SWOT analysis, you go for the institution requirement, read your handbooks, understand the requirement, and finally thinking about the future, how it's going to be helpful after you have completed your studies. Okay, so with that, I think I will end my session. I hope that you like my presentation so far and my sharing. Remember, you always can Google BCQ Academia, and this material is available when you come into the chapter of edited books, where you can find, this is the way, yeah, formulating and clarify the research topic. So I also have a few things, you know, I can be helpful because, you know, I treat you all as my students, even though you are not under my supervision. You know, we believe that we're able to be together. So some of it might be helpful, like for example, Gantt chart, you know, for example, cover letter, CV, you know, academic writing, how do you use the verbs or objectives? So all of this, you can always come, as well as some of the journal which I have published before. If you think it's useful, you always can come back over here. Okay, so with that, thank you. I have completed my sharing. I hope that you learned something from me, and I'm looking forward for the questions and answer from all of you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Chu. This like the generic approach for it's like 7 jurors to find the research idea. The first one is like we approach the 7 approach, then followed by the evaluations and refinement of the some topic we already find. So now we are in the question and answer sessions. I already got like 4 people asking in our links. Wait, I will read like the first questions. Okay, Dr. Chu, I got the first questions. The first question is, how, maybe from your experience, did you ever find troubles when you try to bring the new ideas in research? Then number 2 is, what's the difference research focus between the S1, S1, S2, and S3?
Okay, so I try to answer that. Do I have faced challenges? Yes, I do. You know, but one thing that I always make myself more prepared. Yeah, more prepared is I read a lot as a supervisor. I'm telling you as a supervisor. Then I'll tell you as a PhD what I did. So I read a lot so that I can always, you know, become more understanding, and as well as I can guide my students towards to the direction. When I do my PhD that time, what I did also, I also read a lot. I don't spend time much on reading other things, you know, because that time, you know, when I studying that time, because we are sponsored students, so always we have limitation. I have to be honest to you. You know, sometimes many people would think, wow, you can go abroad, you are so da. I say, yeah, we successfully come back, but what if we fail? You know, sometimes we have a lot of things to consider away from home. You know, the currencies are very expensive. You know, the weather are totally different from here. I can wear so simple over here. So there's a lot of challenges. But what I did was during that time, I've been trained. Yeah, I always love to read books. You can always get some of the, materials like, how to survive in PhD, some of the books. You can listen to YouTube, you can read the book, prepare yourself, And after that, the one things that I always remember is when I got buntu, sometimes kita panggil, you buntu ataupun you have come to the mind block that you do not know what you should do. Very simple. What I did is I always take a break, but not taking a break for a month. Take a break for 2-3 days, put it aside. But in my mind, I asking, how am I going to solve this? Macam mana saya mau selesaikannya? Bukannya I keep on asking, what is it? What is it? What is it? What is it? If I keep asking what is it, then it makes me very difficult to solve the problem. So I ask, how am I going to solve it? Then after that, I come up with the mind map. Mind map is also very useful, guys. Mind map sangat-sangat berguna. Then after that, I plot the mind map. Ini masalah saya, ini saya, cara saya. Adakah hasilnya betul? I ask the question mark. Then after that, when I got myself fully prepared after 2-3 days, I map the map. Then I book, my time with my supervisor. I show my supervisor, sir, I already done my job. Bukannya saya datang tanpa bersedia, saya sudah selesaikan semuanya. I want to know what if I do this, is it going to be okay? So when I ask this question, then my supervisor very, very quickly, the eyebrow will raise up, will be very happy. Yeah, I think that. Then kita membantu mencantikkan ataupun memperhalusi all of it. So if you buntu, remember, ask yourself, how am I going to solve it? Build a mind map, and third thing is refer your supervisor as quick as possible. Jangan elak-elak, jangan, avoiding yourself, As supervisors, I afraid students tak komunikasi dengan saya because I do not know what happened. So I would love to have supervisees to come and keep talking to me. Your supervisors are very, very helpful. In ITS, I've met so many of your friends, your supervisors. They are my respected colleagues over here. But remember, don't just go there. Oh, what can I do? No, don't do that. Just go there and then show them, yes, I already done something. Can you give me some idea? That is the way that you are able to get yourself, not going to be confused or mental block, or, in bahasa we call it as a buntu, pemikiran sudah buntu. The second question is it Mr. Rivai, is it you ask differences between S1 and S2?
Yeah. Correct. There's a difference S1, S2, S3.
I cannot give you a totally precise answer because it has to base on ITS institution regulations. Okay, but I'm giving you what I have learned from my previous study and also be a supervisor in UTAN. Now, in undergraduate, because the time is not fully allocated, you are just need to finish your final year project that we call as a bachelor final year project or bachelor dissertation. So most of the time, the students are being pushed, or in a rush way to complete their dissertation or their research. So you found out that their time is not as much as S2 and S3. But definitely, the one that differentiates between S2 and S3 is S1. S1 is the undergraduate. They are utilizing the theory. They consume the theory. So they are heavily utilize the theory to prove what are the cases that they have conducted. For example, you have supply chain theory, and right now you're putting into the context of, for example, gudang garam, one of the very famous secrets in Indonesia. So you're utilizing it, and then after that, you're proving it. So mostly in S1, generally, I need you to read your handbook first. But generally, it's about the theory consumption. So you go to PhD. PhD is generate the theory. Is a theory generation. So in between, then it become the masters. Because masters also you have master by research, master by project, master by course, master by study. Then after that, you've got another element which is called mixed mode, half-half. So you need to ask back your supervisors, either am I still consume the knowledge or am I need to generate the knowledge? So this has to be standing in the middle. Yeah. Okay. I think that would be the general explanation that I can share with you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. And we got like maybe it's like for those questions. Wait. Number 2 from who's this? About the doctoral degree, we have, it's like we have to make new contributions or new novelty. So maybe the person that asked the question is a bit confused, because I read a lot of master's thesis titles that sometimes the title is like a bit more difficult than bachelor, and sometimes they improve technology. Okay, so it's like the first one is about theory. What about the technology, the implementations? Maybe some considerations about the master's and doctoral degree, about the technology they use?
Okay, I understand. If we are talking about the PhD, yeah, PhD definitely would be the knowledge contribution. Now, you're looking at the research itself. Okay, if you really understand research, the objective of the research is try to generate knowledge. Okay, that is the very big understanding at the first stage, generate knowledge. No matter you are undergraduates or S1, S2, or S3, you have to generate knowledge. But the knowledge has different category, right? So some of the knowledge is for theoretical, some of the knowledge are for implementation or practical. So you have to understand that sometimes when you're in your PhD, you know, why your supervisor keep asking you about knowledge generation, because that is the requirement. And obviously, if your knowledge itself, apart from generating for the theory, it can be implemented to the industry or practically, that will be fantastic. So you have to look at the nature of your discipline as well. I have to say that some of the discipline, for example, engineering, they need to come out with some of the technology by the end of the day, yes. And management, you have to provide some of the solutions to the problem, yes. So it means that the contribution for the practicality itself, it has its own space for you to fill. Okay, you have to. Sebab management ini pengurusan, you have to base on the real problem, only you can solve the problem, right? And after the engineering, because of some of the incompetence or some of the things that has not been solved by the previous technology, right now you're going for it, right? For example, right now we have those face recognition for mobile phone, right? So previously what we did, we just key in our, what do you call about our PIN numbers, but PIN number can lose, can leak, then go for the thumb. Sometimes the thumb might have trouble because sometimes people might have accidents or whatsoever. The thumb will be lots of types of problems. Then after that, they go for face recognition. So in the future, you will find out that more and more, security will be required for us to log into the devices. Where this information, where this technology comes from? It comes from the research previously. Okay. It comes from there. So it has to really depend on what are the field of your studies. I have to emphasize. And second one is your S2 or your S3, and fundamentally also it has to depend on your supervisor's decision, because sometimes we do simulation for somebody to learn from the aspect, if let's say like under this condition what will happen. But sometimes we also found out that simulation is not actually reflecting the real situation. But does it contribute? Yes, because it's a new knowledge that comes up from there. I hope that I have give some brief information about this. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, we got some points. Then the questions coming from Rona Riantini. So I don't know, it's like she or he. You say that to find the research idea is read. So it is said that one of the important part is reading the literature. Then is it okay to make a systematic literature review? Because she thinks like it needs more expertise to make literature review. So she needs like the suggestions. Should she continue continue writing the literature review, or just like for the chapters?
Okay, if let's say like you would like to clarify yourself, for the information, you have to also get to know what is literature review means. At the first stage, ramai yang being asked to do literature review, then they just jump in and then they are like, swimming in the middle of an ocean. Then sometimes you really hardly to know what is the outcome from there. Now, tujuannya untuk literature review is because you want to crystallize and conceptualize a lot of things into the things that you can use. Where you want to use it in your data collection and analysis later on. So remember, when you do your literature review, you have to look into a big aspect. There are two things that you have to take in your literature review. The first one is the theory, if you're looking at academic materials. The second one is the application. Where do you think this could be applied? Understand? So with that, then you are starting to build up your studies. And then you are building up your studies from time to time. If you found out that those materials, which is useful for your research scope, research objective, or can answer your research question, put into your text. Bukannya semua akan masukkan. Sebab by the end of the day, if you put everything inside without selecting it, then you have to do analysis later on. Kamu perlu analyze juga, ya. So it is not about putting everything. Remember, it's about selection. Pertama adalah you select based on your research scope, your research problem, your research objective. Is it comply my research objective or not? And is it going to be my research question? Can answer my research question? Yes, then put in. Okay, it is either going to be the theory or going to be the actual case or the practical case. Then after that, when you have all of this written, you need to do analysis. Sometimes you do it might be 2 years ago, today already 2 years. Some of the theory that time we just make our assumption might be not useful anymore. Or might be you found out that the theory already create a lot of debates. Orang tidak terima, Some of the very good journals you found out that they're debating. They even criticize the previous work that people has done. One of the things that I have to say to you is, there are so many models, that being used, but some people, they utilize it in a different way. And then the different way actually not supposedly to be done so. You can Google a few, technology acceptance model, UTAL models. They previously had to be done from one school of thought and also the discipline. But when you keep doing it for other discipline, then it start to lose the original usage of the theory. So you have to make sure that everything are properly recorded based on your screen. Seperti kamu membuatkan pengasingan daripada bahan-bahan material-material yang ada di lautan itu, maka kamu kumpulkannya mengikut kepada research problem, objective, research question awak simpan. Then after that, from there you analyze whether is it still relevant, is it still true, is it no more debates, no more any assumption, wrong assumption, or might be outdated things that you can take up, so that by the end, after you want to submit your thesis will be in a good forms. Tak ada teori-teori ataupun case-case yang masih lagi was-was.
Okay, thank you. Then the next question from Rafita Sari. She asks about any limitations for the publication year that we should read. It's like maybe the maximum is like 10 years or 5 years for the journals.
You mean putting into literature review, is it?
Yeah, correct.
We do not have a specific, I would say we do not have a specific scientific rules on that. Because you found out that difficult to have any publication or any books that tells you there should be specific years, but they are actually a consideration for you. You see, if let's say like you found out that the theory is a key theory,
ataupun underpinning theory ataupun principles,
principle.
it can be, come on, we are still utilizing Newton's laws, right? Gravity laws and all the Hooke's laws and everything until now, right? Thermodynamics, everything still now. That's why if you have a strong underpinning or key theories which has not been challenged, then this is the one that you can continue keep using it. That is the rules. Because, for example, there are some of the talks that have been done by previous scholars, even in management study, we have strategic management. They're under one very famous guru called Michael Porter, 1986. We are still using it because there's no other new findings that are able to challenge it. Unless there's some new findings that's starting to challenge the model, the principles, or whatsoever things that have been done, then you can keep utilizing it. But obviously, for studies about social science, I have to mention, we do have a estimation. We can't get back to too old before. If let's say like your literature stretch more than 10 years, then it might give you some of the outdated feeling. Well, very frank, 1980s studies does not have anything to do with ICT yet. Make sense? So if let's say like you want to look at banking at that time, the banking people still queuing there in order to get the money from the teller. But 2010 to 2010, you found out that everything already been done on ICT. So under social science, because I'm from social science, ICT, globalizations, climate change, they shape the trends for all of us to become, more aware about the ICT, the digitalization, the globalizations, the climate change. Then right now, all those disciplines start to switch into their directions. So social science might have to control the literature. My suggestions, not prescriptive. I always ask my students to control within 10 years. Not more than that. 10 years means that from the day you start doing your PhD, and you need to keep updating it until the last version. That is also the way why when you submit to your journals, your reviewer would not comment that your literature is too old. Kadang-kadang kita terima panel-panel yang memberikan komen kita punya literature itu ataupun reference kita sudah outdated sebab kita masih gunakan 70-an, 80-an, 90-an. We should control right now is 2010 until 2020 already. Because COVID changed again, correct? COVID publication changed everything again. So everything are being changed, utilizing whatever that become the major mainstream in terms of trends or in terms of policies, whatsoever. So be very cautious about the latest changes that you would see. That's my sharing.
Okay, thank you. Then the next question from Aditya Nurrahman. So he just discussed with his supervisors, brainstorming already done, then research has been completed, but somewhere else, it's like there was like similar research ideas. Is it the plagiarisms, and then how do we deal with it?
Okay, be very careful about plagiarism because the scope can be very vast. Means that dia sangat besar skopnya. Kepada mana satukah yang kita akan terpijak, because sometimes we are not intended to do so, but accidentally, it has. But one thing for sure is the plagiarism context right now being checking by the software, for example, the utilizing Turnitin, is about what are the sources that you have put into your writing, but you never acknowledge where the sources come from. That's the first way that they are determined in terms of the similarity index. But I would like to say, if you are utilizing your studies, for example, they have studied in Germany, and today you are studying in Indonesia. They are doing about smart agriculture. You are doing Indonesia smart agriculture. The contribution are different, so it could not be categorized as plagiarism unless you really utilizing their work and then I would use the term is copy everything in there, then something would get wrong for that. So with that's why the research is interesting, because you are based on the theory, you are based on the application, correct? Even you are using simulation, you are still using application as well. So when you apply it somewhere, I would not think, you know, you have 100% will be similar like what the previous people has done. So if you genuinely do it without referring too much, they do Germany, you also do Germany, you know, their theory like that, you also feel like that. Even the way of you writing, you know, setiap orang ada cara-cara untuk memberi hujah ataupun mengolah, you know, try to explain in that way. If impossible, you know, if you really do it in a way, it will be nearly impossible for you to plagiarize. Yeah, that is my view. And then this view also supported by one of the association, which is I think you guys can always look at the ethical publication. There's one association which control, you know, how do you achieve ethical publication in your academic writing.
Okay, thank you. Maybe anyone wants to raise hands and ask the questions and
Yes,
unmute?
anyone?
Yeah. Okay, Muhammad Aminuddin.
Thank you,
Please,
Mr. Rifai, for opportunity. I have one question for Mr. Chu. Maybe this question is the same as the previous question about in finding research ideas, we also have to think about novelty. For the 7 formula you have explained, where can we determine for the novelty?
Where can we determine, sorry, which one?
The novelty.
Locality means a location, is it?
Yes, of course.
Tempat, ya, tempat.
Ya, betul. Somehow I am confused about novelty. Maybe in with a 7 formula this, where can I finding the novelty? Is it
novelty ataupun locality? Yang mana satu?
Novelty.
Novelty.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay, understand. Actually, Amiruddin, the novelty will come true when you have a solid research idea. Maksud saya adalah kamu tidak perlu mencari cahaya untuk mendapatkan keterangan. It comes later. Sebab apa? Sebab if okay, many of the students, they keep asking me, so when can I find my novelty? Another questions that I usually being asked by students is, where can I find my gap? Manakah gap yang saya patut penuhi? Mereka selalu tanya yang itu. Apa yang saya boleh terangkan adalah, because we have a short time, I cannot tell everything, but you can invite me again. I'm happy to give a section about this. Yeah. In order to achieve novelty, it's about the combination of your studies that show the novelty. Okay, contoh, you have this theory has been used before. On what discipline you are, Amiruddin? Can you tell me on which discipline? Apa
Technology management.
Technology management, right. So for example, if you are from technology management, hari ini kita cakap pasal pengurusan teknologi dalam teknologi forecasting, boleh? Kita membuat unjuran untuk teknologi itu. So the theory is classic. Teori itu memang klasik sebab kita sudah tahu there are lots of theories about the technology forecasting. There are lots of methods for forecasting as well. Okay, then we utilize, for example, scenario analysis. Okay, we put into our studies. Then right now we are thinking, where do I need to implement this into my studies? Okay, I got my theory, technology forecasting, scenario analysis. Oh, I want to do in Indicom, for example. Then I check, Indicom have done any scenario analysis before? Google. Oh, tak ada. Okay, Indicom masuk. Okay, so my title was something to do with scenario analysis for Indicom. Okay, good. Then next, Indicom ada banyak department. Mana satu kamu mau buat forecasting? Betul? You want to focus on the market ke? You want to focus on the facilities ke? You want to focus on their expansion to the, to international ke? Or which aspect? So you check lagi. oh, saya lebih suka adalah pada bahagian infrastructure. So maksudnya saya nak fokus in the future, maka Unicom ini akan mempunyai rangkaian yang sangat meluas ya di Jakarta contoh ataupun di bahagian Java Island for example. Maka fokus in the home, okay. Then after that pada bahagian rangkaian contohnya. So with this, you are building up layer by layer. Then you check on your Google, you found out if this is not being done before, you already got the novelty itself. So kamu tidak akan set saya mau cari novelty, baru kita mau cari novelty-nya. Tidak. Dia akan wujud selepas you have every element in there, and after that you can check. Ya, seperti mana kadang-kadang I love to make a joke lah. Kita mau cari wife kita, isteri kita tidak menentukannya dulu. Oh dia mestinya rambut kena panjang, kena tinggi, kena ini betul, tak ada. Tapi kita kata kita mau cari wife kita, bila kita jumpa gadis-gadis yang kita rasa sesuai dengan hati kita, lama-lama kita dah kenal, dia jadi isteri kita, betul? So that is the way also apply in the research. The novelty will comes after you have building up your elements. It cannot be determined early. Okay?
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Then I give more chance to anyone here. Might be you can raise your hand and ask questions.
Yes, ada apa-apa lagi?
Okay, I will.
Yeah.
Any question? Okay, maybe I put the other question here in the list here. So coming from the Pravita Sari again, then she asks, how do we measure the novelty of the topic? Because she thinks she got one method or copy method from empirical studies, then she only changed the research locations. So her question is still can be recognized as new research. So she implement the one or some experimental studies, but he just changed the locations. How do you think?
Okay, I understand. Now, measuring novelties, put in this way, it is about the interesting and also the expected outcome that we can see. Okay, so maybe I put in this way, then you can understand. When we go into a movie, ya kita pergi tonton satu movie, kenapa kamu rasa movie itu menarik? Tak disangka-sangka ya, tak sangka-sangka akhirnya jadi macam ni. So that is the novelty. So what does it mean is about managing in terms of the expected and unexpected outcome there. Now, obviously, if you can understand this from the film base, then people will start to look at academic way. There are many things that contribute to the novelty. Okay, first one is that just now I share with Mr. Amiruddin is about you can utilizing classical theory. You can find a new location, a new department, a new sector that you want to go with. Then it becomes something that has not been done before. It becomes one of the novelty over there. Now, if let's say like your case, you are being done by other people, you change your location. Now, we need to check on the outcome already. First thing, is it you utilize the similar methods or different method? That is also a part of the novelty. Second one, is it the expected result similar to the previous one or totally different? That is also another novelty. And then with these two novelty, because you have done the research, then you have to also know is what are the contribution out from this research later. This is also one of the way that shows the value of your research. So in such a case, I cannot judge by the current situation. What I only can judge is you would not want to caught yourself into the situation where in the future people come in, you know, once you publish in your work, you know, right now everything is digitalized. Your university will start to put your abstract, you put your title that people can access online. You do not want people to challenge it, you know, hey, that is my work that you know, you do not want that one. So I think smartly you have to be very careful about how you make yours and the original contributors different in terms of the context, yes, location. Is there any different findings that must be something different. You impossible if you have, two different locations, even in the same country, would have a totally similar results. It cannot be in that way. What are the methods that you're utilizing? Who will be your respondent? How you analyzing it? All of these will start to dilute all the similarities that you're going to achieve. Sebab itu dia memang ada banyak scientific methods yang akan membawa kepada novelty itu sendiri dan juga keboleh percayaan itu sendiri. So that's why in order to do the research, right? I always tell my students, kamu usahakan lebih baik daripada kamu pergi, utilize yang previous one. Sebab akhirnya originality dan novelty itu memang akan dapat dipertahankan. Boleh saya jawab macam tu as a way to help. Sebab I have not read, I cannot judge. But as I say, the method, the respondent, the background of the company, the findings, the way that you analyze, the conclusion will be different. Definitely will be different. If it's the same, that it makes us very, very worried. So it could not, is supposedly not to be same. Supposedly not to be same. So that would be the one that defend in terms of the novelty and also measuring the novelty in a way that you can justify for its academics merit. Yep.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Chu. Any more questions? We have still like 3 or 4 minutes. You can raise your hands. Any more questions? No? Okay, actually that was our last questions for this sessions. So it's time to end the session. So please, let's have a big applause for Dr. Chu for this wonderful lecture.
Thank you very much.
Okay, maybe you can give us a closing remark for this lecture. It's like tips on trick that.
Okay, I think closing remark is, I myself gone through the process like you all. That's why today I'm here, to share with you. In the future, you also will share with another new batch of people. Education is caring with love. So that's why, when I'm being asked to share with this, it is my passion. Saya suka research method ini sebab it really can be helpful. One of the tips that I need to give to you, don't worry about giving a new idea. Don't worry to try something new, because research is you keep pushing on the boundary so that you are giving a new knowledge to the people. Lastly, enjoy yourself when you're doing it. Love your research. Choose the topic that you love and love the topic that you have chosen. So you will carry on your research until you successfully complete it. Okay, so all the best with that, and I hope that you will have a fruitful time studying in ITS and anywhere you are. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I hope all students here got the important points from this lecture and come back and sit down to follow like this 7 ways that already explained, then discuss with your supervisors and find the research idea. All right, that's all my time as a moderator. So now I give the chance back to host, Ms. Devi.
Thank you, Mr. Rivai, for chairing this session.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chu.
Thank you, Mr. Chu.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Chu, for the great presentation today, along with Mr. Rifai as well. So I would like to remind everyone of what our previous announcement related to attendance form. I think because there are a lot of attendance today, Mr. So I will read out the information again. Please fill the attendance form on the previous link, on the provided link, which will be shared in the Zoom chat room by our committee. The link will be closed in 15 minutes, which means it will be like around 3:30 until 3:45. Okay, thank you. So thank you very much, Professor Chu, and also Mr. Rifai for the great session. Please give applause to our inspiring speaker and amazing moderator by using the Zoom chat action figure to today's empowering session. Now, I would like to invite the host to share the screen. So this is the certificate for Associate Professor Poon Cheong Chu as our speaker today, as our gratitude for today's session. Thank you very much, Professor, for your availability today in providing the lecture session on finding research idea. Very great session and also very open, quite open, eye-opening session. And I feel also the spirit from Professor Chu. And then for the next certificate, I would like to present this for Mr. Rifai Wardani, MSc, as our gratitude for today's session as our moderator. Thank you very much, Bapak Rifai Wardani, for the time and also like delivering a great session as well. And then before we part, I would like to inform you that we still have future agenda on RECEP for architect, which will be conducted on 24th of March, which means like 2 weeks after the next 2 weeks. And then it will be with the same professor. So we will have Professor Chu for 3 meetings in a row. And then the next one will be about literature review, latest tools and methods. Okay, so now you can see the poster we are showing right now in Pasca Sarjana ITS as well, the Instagram page. And then before we end our session today, we would like to invite you, all participants, along with the speaker and moderator, to take a group photo. So let's see how many it is. Let's wait. Please remove all the spotlight. Okay. Please wait for a second. Please wait for a second. I'll take a picture of all of you. Okay. Okay. I think we have around 10 slides, so bear with me. Okay, you can smile. Open your camera and smile. Okay. 1, 2, 3 for the first one. Okay. Next one. Okay, for the second page. 1, 2, 3, cheers. Okay, for the next one, the third one. Okay, keep smiling, guys, keep smiling. Okay, thank you. Next one, fourth. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Nice. Number 4. No, number 5, sorry. 1, 2, 3. Nice, thank you. Next one, number 6. Only some. Okay. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay. I think that's it because some of you doesn't open the camera, so it's okay. Okay. Back again. Okay. Now that we have finished the group photo, I would like to remind all participants to fill the feedback form provided in the Zoom chat room. The participant who will get the stamp for it, it is the participant who comes on time during this event until the end and also fill the feedback form. Finally, we have reached the end of today's recep and we sincerely apologize for any inconvenience during the session for me as the master of ceremony and also from the committees. We will see you again on the upcoming session. Once again, thank you everyone for joining the session. Thank you the speaker and also the moderator for the inspiring session. Good evening, stay healthy and safe. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye.
You.